COVID-19 was first identified in 2019 in Wuhan, China. It is the new and deadly coronavirus that has not been identified in humans' body, who declared the COVID-19 outbreak a global health emergency. On March 11, 2020, WHO announced COVID-19 as a world pandemic, its first such designation since announcing H1N1 a pandemic in 2009. It has impacted many lives, kids, adults, animals, and forced the world to stop. The issue arose when firms had to cut expenses and workers lost their job entirely, especially on women. Numerous news reported that women suffered severely more than men. Even there was a media coverage on this issue, it still happened, and there was nothing that could be done to help them. The question is, why there is gender inequality despite the outbreak? Shouldn't we become more human to others during these vulnerable situations? Here is the story of gender inequality of employment on women during COVID-19.
Before we go deeper into gender inequality against women, let me explain a little bit about what gender inequality is.
Based on European Institute for Gender Inequality, gender equality is legal, social and cultural scenario in which intercourse or gender determines special rights and dignity for ladies and men, which are mirrored in their unequal get entry to or enjoyment of rights, as well as the assumption of stereotyped social and cultural roles.
It's just the way it is. Yep, it is.
Here are some of the causes that lead to gender inequality on women during COVID-19. Stereotype, prejudice, and discrimination towards women. Next, the closed school could also be one of the reasons for women employees leaving their jobs. After that, the demand for caregiving at home has made around 863,000 women in September leaving their job. It is because they have to take care of their family members who are sick. Lastly, they have been experiencing unequal division of unpaid coursework borne in the labor force.
As COVID-19 has not met the ending line, the world's economy still struggles to strengthen itself without falling out until this pandemic ends. COVID-19 has caused an economic shock 3 times worse than the 2008 financial crisis. So many people were affected by losing their jobs, and the society was busy scrambling among them to take every job opportunity. But without even fighting, women were forced to step back since their chance was so little. Women's jobs are 1.8 times more vulnerable to this crisis than men's jobs. Women make up to 54% of overall job losses. With this inequality against women happening in the work sector, women tend to lose their financial sources. Rather than men, this pandemic has set women in a big crisis where kids need to stay at home, requiring their attention while homeschooling needs to be provided for them, but with Women being unemployed during this pandemic, it just makes them struggle financially, and 86% of these households are headed by single mothers. So, if women tend to lose their jobs, a country might face another financial crisis since most of the mothers can't afford full life expenses to their children. Many families have no choice but to reduce their consumption of expenditures, for example, by spending less on food, delaying major purchases, or falling behind on rent.
There are various suggestions or solutions put forward to address the problem of discrimination against women in the workplace. Moreover, we have to live in this current pandemic COVID-19, where we must accept that it has been a part of our life. The impact of it has caused women to be at a disadvantage in many ways, and gives us a few seconds to think that the effects of this COVID-19 have been sufficient to assess this pandemic as a condition that worsens the state of discrimination against women. We take the example of single mothers because they are the group that significantly affected by discrimination. We believe that the government is the one who should take this issue seriously. The government's ways to implement the policies are by developing an equal distribution of unpaid work among men and women. These can include strategies such as limiting the maximum number of weekly employment hours, require fathers to take paternity leave, and reduce differences between full-time and part-time work regarding of paying. All have been said is to ensure that women is no longer excluded, especially when they are smeared in the ideology of discrimination in the workplace, which is made worse by the COVID-19 situation.
In conclusion, there is no doubt that women have been through inequality during this pandemic of COVID-19. These inequalities were caused by stereotype, prejudice, and discrimination that make women have a higher risk of losing their jobs instead of men during this pandemic. It is not easy for women to adapt to these inequalities because there are a lot of challenges that they may have faced in order to survive. They most likely have a little chance of being promoted or holding a larger positions because society feels that women are incapable of holding high positions, and it could be women who are a working mother or working pregnant women can easily lose their job. For our country to achieve a full gender equality, the government should take actions to solve this problem. Problems in equality matter should not happen as both genders have the right to be treated fairly, and this gender equality on women should be eliminated so that all of us may live in peace.
Yalah, sebab dalam COVID, apabila COVID melanda, kami terpaksa kurangkan pekerja, and then disebabkan tidak boleh buat majlis, macam buat keramaian sosial untuk kenduri.